1. Xuefeng, May 13, 2008. Translation edited by Jiejing. Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the driving force behind the movement and transformation of all things in the universe. It is the lifeblood of the universe, it is nature, and the synthesis of all laws. Tao possesses 8 characteristics: holographic order, eternal reliability, instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior, spirituality, justice, non-obstruction, and illusory yet actual existence. The first characteristic of Tao, holographic order. The universe is holographic, everything is interconnected, and the universe is a living entity. The activity of an ant is related to an elephant drinking water. The fluttering of a butterfly's wings in Alaska is connected to a storm at the Cape of Good Hope. Today's cough is linked to an insect swallowed 10 years ago. The current back pain is related to a mouse killed 500 years ago. The suffering of a grandson today is connected to the mountain digging activities of ancestors 3,000 years ago. The rolling of a stone on the moon is linked to an earthquake somewhere on Earth. An explosion on a distant planet thousands of light years away is related to someone sneezing on Earth. Parents' words and actions are connected to the growth of their children. A mosquito bite on the toe is directly linked to getting angry. A lover's betrayal is related to the other's suicide. A statement made by Jesus or Buddha 2,000 years ago is linked to someone's behavior today. Darwin's theory of evolution is connected to people not believing in the greatest creator. A statement made by oneself 10 years ago is related to today's unexpected encounters. Everything is connected, no matter how distant. All events are related, no matter how long ago. Hearts resonate, whether in heaven or on earth. Spirits communicate, regardless of whether they belong to insects, plants, animals, humans, or ghosts. This is the holographic order. In the midst of complexity and constant change, everything falls into place with precision and order. Every word, action, movement, thought, and intention leaves an imprint in the universe. When the time is ripe, there will be consequences. Feeling helpless, unable to understand, unable to see the principles of good deeds leading to good outcomes and evil deeds leading to bad outcomes, one feels anxious and confused, not knowing the cause. Life seems uncertain. Everything appears random and inexplicable, because the characteristic of Tao is holographic order. Boundless and infinite, without tactics or fixed modes, no name or identity, no form or shadow, yet its power is immense, rewarding and punishing at all times. Invisible, intangible, and inaudible, yet it responds like a shadow that follows form. It can't be stolen, hidden, lifted, or moved. It's elusive and empty, yet it can cause earthquakes, tsunamis, landslides, ground splits, and thunderous roars. Where there's movement, it moves. Where there's stillness, it's still. Where there's life, lives. Where there's death, it dies. Yet where there's movement, it's still. Where there's stillness, it moves. Where there's life, it dies. Where there's death, it lives. It's profound and inscrutable. Hard to fathom its wonder, because the nature of Tao is holographic order. Tao that can be spoken of is not the eternal Tao. This is because Tao possesses the characteristic of holography. Holography here does not refer to chaos. Chaos is disordered, while holography is orderly. Tao forms an invisible divine net, which, as the saying goes, divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes yet letting nothing slip through. All things, all phenomena, are within this divine net. They cannot escape it, hide from it, erase it, or extinguish it. Whether they are gods, Buddhas, demons, celestials, saints, ghosts, or monsters, they all operate within this divine net and cannot escape it, cannot escape from holography. As I expand, so does Tao. As I diminish, so does Tao. As I possess, so does Tao. As I lack, so does Tao. As I become complex, so does Tao. As I become simple, so does Tao. Holography is not chaos. Within holography, there are 36 8-diagram arrays, 36 dimensional spaces, 20 parallel worlds, and 64 basic factors. The permutations, combinations, and error corrections of these 64 basic factors intertwine to form astronomical numbers, which are difficult for human intelligence to understand and reach. Therefore, each person plays their own game, walks their own path. You are you. You can never become another person. Even if there is a 99.99% similarity, that 0.01% is enough to make a world of difference, as distant as 1,000 miles. Do you completely understand? If you do, it proves that you don't understand the holography of Tao. Only by transforming oneself into nothingness, within the void, faint, vague, dim, obscure, can one glimpse a bit of true insight. First, dissolve oneself into holography, then one can understand the characteristic of Tao is holographic. Laozi said, "Those who are skilled in the way of Tao are subtle, mysterious, profound, and penetrating, so deep that they cannot be understood." Why? Because Tao possesses the characteristic of holography. Knowing that Tao has the characteristic of holography and understanding the holographic characteristic of Tao hold profound and significant value. When we can face the collapse of Mount Tai without blinking an eye or skipping a beat, smile slightly with a knife at our throat, remain calm and composed in the face of death, stay unruffled in the face of family ruin and personal loss, and continue to be calm and relaxed even if the next second brings about earth-shattering changes, only then can we truly understand the holographic nature and principles of Tao. In reality, at this moment, one has already become a celestial being. The sky is intensely blue, death ceases to exist, beauty surrounds us, profound experiences abound, all paths are open, skills are effortlessly wielded, and there is nothing to do but enjoy leisure and play. Understanding the holographic characteristic of Tao and following its path leads to escaping the kingdom of necessity and entering the kingdom of freedom. Xuefeng Preaching Tao 2. Xuefeng, May 15, 2008. Translation edited by Jiejing. Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the driving force behind the movement and transformation of all things in the universe. It is the lifeblood of the universe, it is nature, and the synthesis of all laws. Tao possesses 8 characteristics: holographic order, eternal reliability, instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior, spirituality, justice, non-obstruction, and illusory yet actual existence. The second characteristic of Tao, eternal reliability. Tao is the synthesis of all laws. Within a certain time and space, these laws are immutable, enduring, and dependable. Every morning, the red sun rises from the east. The seasons change timely throughout the year. Seeds sown in suitable soil will inevitably sprout, grow, and eventually bloom and bear fruit. Rivers naturally flow downstream. It has been like this for thousands of years. Eggs are hatched in 21 days, yielding chicks. After giving birth, mother's milk will surely follow. Tides ebb and flow, flowers bloom and wither. Flocks of geese migrate southward. The moon waxes and wanes. Everything follows a pattern. Everything can be trusted and relied upon. This is the characteristic of Tao, eternal reliability. The sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. Pi is always 3.1415926. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Velocity multiplied by time equals distance traveled. To escape the solar system, an object must reach or exceed a velocity of 16.7 kilometers per second. Oxygen and iron embrace to become iron oxide. Halley's Comet appears once every 76 years. The moon continually orbits the Earth. It takes a little over 365 days for the Earth to orbit the Sun once. When full, hunger disappears. With the onset of puberty, there arises a sexual impulse. When a light is turned on, darkness is dispelled. Collision between positive and negative cloud layers can trigger thunder and lightning. Everything is so precise, orderly, and systematic. This is determined by the eternal reliability of Tao. Swallowing a bottle of sleeping pills will definitely result in never waking up again. Consuming croton seeds will surely cause diarrhea. Drinking a bowl of concentrated arsenic water will undoubtedly result in immediate death. Placing one's hand in a blazing fire will certainly result in burnt skin and flesh. Planting potatoes will definitely not yield sweet potatoes. It is unquestionable that those who are near vermilion get stained red. and those who are near ink get stained black. 1. Will surely not pick bananas from an apple tree. Constructing skyscrapers on quicksand is surely impossible. Dialing the signal 0086 will definitely connect you to China. Cutting a blade on the back of the hand will surely draw blood. Flying in synchronous orbit with the Earth's rotation will always be either morning or another time. Hitting oneself on the head with a stone will surely feel painful. Why can we be so sure? Because this is determined by the eternal reliability characteristic of Tao. Understanding this characteristic of Tao holds profound significance. Not only can it effectively and fully utilize laws to serve oneself, avoiding wastage of personal energy and mitigating risks, but more importantly, it enables recognition of the inevitability of change in all things. Consequently, one can confidently carry out current tasks without hesitation or doubt, steadfastly progressing towards their goals. For example, if we aim to reach the thousand-year world, as long as our consciousness resonates with the beings of the thousand-year world, and we adopt their way of life and existence, there is no doubt that we will surely arrive there. We will have no doubts about this. Why? Because it is determined by the eternal reliability of Tao. Pursuing the sun will certainly escape darkness. Aspire to the thousand-year world and persistently practice and cultivate towards it. Surely, we will reach the thousand-year world. Doubt arises from uncertainty, and uncertainty stems from not recognizing the eternal reliability characteristic of Tao. Once one acknowledges this aspect of Tao, it becomes as certain as knowing that placing fermented dough in a steamer for about 15 minutes will undoubtedly yield edible steamed buns. Good deeds bring good rewards, evil deeds bring evil consequences. This is the eternal characteristic of Tao. It is reliable. Those who commit numerous evil deeds will surely descend into hell, while those who fulfill virtuous deeds will inevitably become celestial beings or Buddhas and ascend to heaven. This is an iron rule, determined by the eternal reliability characteristic of Tao, not subject to the will of any individual. If we do good deeds, there's no need to anxiously await results. Why be in a rush? When the time comes, the results will naturally manifest. Small changes gradually emerge, while big changes happen in an instant. Through daily cultivation, progress may not be visible, but suddenly one day, one has already become a celestial being. A rope rubbing against a wooden board will cut into it, and water dripping onto a stone will wear it down. Channels form when water flows. The pedestals of ripe melons fall. These are enduring laws, reliable. What is there to doubt? There are no random events in the universe. Everything is the inevitable result of causes and conditions. There are no coincidences or accidents. Everything follows a predetermined pattern. This isn't something made up by Xuefeng. It is determined by the eternal reliability characteristic of Tao. The type of consciousness one possesses corresponds to the form of existence one embodies, and the manner of thinking determines one's way of life. This is neither superstition nor speculation, but rather a summary and reflection of the patterns life presents across different times and spaces. Having understood the eternal reliability characteristic of Tao, one should steadfastly journey and cultivate towards Celestial Islands continent. As long as persistence is maintained, one will undoubtedly reach Celestial Islands continent. This endeavor is perpetually reliable, and Tao does not deceive people. Xuefeng Tao 3. Xuefeng Preaching Tao 3. Xuefeng, May 17, 2008. Translation edited by Jiejing. Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the driving force behind the movement and transformation of all things in the universe. It is the lifeblood of the universe, it is nature, and the synthesis of all laws. Tao possesses 8 characteristics: holographic order, eternal reliability, instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior, justice, immediacy, and illusory yet actual existence. The third characteristic of Tao: instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability. Tao is the most subtle and sensitive sensor in the universe. It instantaneously senses, records, and responds to the slightest changes at any time, place, or thing, without the slightest delay or negligence. Whether it's the changes in a galaxy or the changes in a fundamental particle, whether it's actions taken by humans or the fleeting thoughts in their minds, Tao accurately senses, records, and responds without missing a single microsecond. You may deceive people and other living beings, but you cannot deceive Tao, for Tao resides within us. In every drop of our blood, in every cell, in every nerve pathway, in every breath, in every heartbeat, and in every thought, Tao is present, sensing, and responding. Therefore, the more honest a person is, the more they align with the characteristics of Tao. From this, we realize that any deception ultimately deceives not others or other beings, but oneself. Inner prayers, acts of repentance, wishes, and blessings all carry weight, value, and significance. Any disaster, whether it's a slip or a fall, a car accident, or an earthquake, can be prevented and avoided. As the ancient sages said, a single thought can move ghosts and gods. A single action can change heaven and earth. The difference between calamity and fortune, sorrow and joy, lies in the slightest difference in thought. Whether a camel will be crushed depends on the last straw, and which way the balance tips depends on the final gram. This is because Tao possesses the characteristic of instantaneous sensitivity. Tao is not dead, but alive. It possesses eternal reliability, yet it is not a rigid and unchanging machine. It is adaptable and can generate myriad phenomena. Wherever there is space, life, or changes, there are Tao's methods. On a macroscopic level, Tao's principles are constant, while on a microscopic level, they are constantly changing, arising and ceasing in each moment. On a macroscopic scale, there are stages of birth, abiding, decay, and emptiness, while on a microscopic scale, these stages can be reversed. For every person, every day, there are countless thoughts and ideas, and in response, Tao generates various transformations. If you remain unchanged, Tao remains unchanged. If you change, Tao changes accordingly. With your 10,000 changes, Tao produces 10,000 corresponding transformations. This is the instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability of Tao, always remaining unchanging amidst change, changing amidst the unchanging, eternally one yet endlessly unpredictable and mysterious. This is why it is said that the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Having understood Tao's characteristic of instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, we know how to navigate our life's journey. We can skillfully pursue our desires without overstepping boundaries, thus safely and smoothly arriving at the life space we yearn for. For example, since Tao exhibits eternal reliability, our ideals, beliefs, and pursuits must also be steadfast and reliable. We cannot be fickle, changing our minds frequently, or we will never reach our ultimate ideals. However, because Tao also demonstrates instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, we must be flexible on our journey through life. We cannot rigidly adhere to fixed rules or cling to dogma. We must be like eagles hunting rabbits. Wherever the rabbit runs, we must flap our wings accordingly. When we reach the riverbank, if there's no bridge, we must quickly find a boat to cross. If there's no boat, we must paddle ourselves, or if we cannot swim, we should practice swimming first. If necessary, we must find a piece of wood to help us cross the river. In short, we cannot simply wait passively. In times of danger, it is essential to pray and seek help from the greatest creator promptly because Tao possesses the characteristic of instantaneous sensitivity. Our inner thoughts and activities are instantly perceived by the greatest creator, who will then take corresponding protective measures in the nick of time. When faced with a dilemma, promptly share your best wishes with the greatest creator and then entrust your life to him, letting Tao manage your life. Then, go with the flow, act according to your nature, take advantage of opportunities that arise, and you will not go wrong. When facing decisions, it's crucial to remain calm and not hastily make choices. Avoid harboring a mentality of taking chances or attempting to deceive or lie. Look up 3 feet. You will find divinity. In reality, these divine entities are within us. A slight misstep can lead to drastic consequences. In the darkness, one may harbor ill intentions, but the eyes of the divine are as bright as lightning, and to avoid misfortune in the visible world, do not offend the invisible. The invisible refers to our inner world, which is unseen by others. If we commit wrongdoings in our inner world, there will be no good outcomes under the bright light of day. Don't assume that unethical actions from yesterday will go unpunished today and deceive yourself into believing you can get away with it. In reality, you are only deceiving yourself. When the time comes, you will deeply regret it because Tao possesses the characteristic of instantaneous sensitivity. It meticulously records all our thoughts and actions, accumulating them for change. When this accumulation reaches a saturation point, even the slightest change will trigger unforeseen events instantaneously. This is determined by Tao's holographic characteristic. In summary, Tao manages, supervises, coordinates, and responds to us at all times and in all places. This is the instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability of Tao. Xuefeng Tao 4. Xuefeng Preaching Tao 4. Xuefeng. May 18, 2008. Translation edited by Jiejing. Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the driving force behind the movement and transformation of all things in the universe. It is the lifeblood of the universe, it is nature, and the synthesis of all laws. Tao possesses 8 characteristics: holographic order, eternal reliability, instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior, spirituality, justice, non-obstruction, and illusory yet actual existence. The 4th characteristic of Tao, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior. The entire universe is an integrated whole, much like the human body. Tao permeates the universe, akin to how blood fills the human body. Tao possesses the characteristics of a hologram, making no distinction between inner and outer. In other words, it's impossible to discern what is internal from what is external, let alone what is up or down, what is large or small, what is male or female. This state requires deep immersion to fully experience, similar to how a drop of ink disperses in clear water. After a while, when the ink completely merges into the water, it becomes difficult to distinguish between inner and outer. Tao, akin to ink seamlessly blending into clear water, pervades all things, both material and non-material, permeating all aspects of time and space. Therefore, Tao possesses the characteristic of transcendence of inner and outer. When a stone is thrown into calm water, ripples extend in all directions from the point where the stone lands, but this takes time. If there are obstacles, the ripples may stop there. For instance, waves from Dongting Lake are unlikely to reach the Pacific Ocean. However, Tao is different. Stimulus from any location can almost instantaneously propagate to every material, time, and space in the universe without any hindrance. Any movement in the human world is immediately known in the heavenly realms, and any change in the heavenly realms immediately affects the human world. Just as the human brain, with its central nervous system, can immediately sense a prick on the toe, the universe also has a central system. According to the non-material world chapter, we know that there are 20 parallel worlds in the universe. These 20 parallel worlds are not isolated from each other but are connected by the 0 point, the realm of the greatest creator's residence. The 0 point serves as the central nervous system of the universe. The 20 parallel worlds intersect at the 0 point, and for the 0 point, any subtle changes in these 20 parallel worlds are perceived, much like how the brain perceives any subtle changes in the body's limbs, hair, senses, organs, and viscera. Therefore, for Tao, it transcends time and space, without any constraints. Tao's transcendence is not only manifested in its ability to traverse space, but also time. For humans, we perceive the past, present, and future as distinct, but for Tao, these temporal states are unified and indistinguishable. The past is the present is the future, and the future is the past. They are all part of a unified whole. The past influences the present shapes the future, and in the same way, the present can also affect the past, and the future can influence the present. If a life form was once a fox, is now a human, and will be a celestial being in the future, then the fox, the human, and the celestial being are all manifestations of the same entity. We may perceive them differently, but Tao does not make such distinctions. In Strange Stories from a Chinese Studio, characters often enter the non-material world and engage in romantic relationships, marriage, and childbirth with foxes, bees, and other creatures. The parties involved cannot distinguish between themselves. There are no clear differences between foxes, humans, and bees. Only by stepping outside of that space can one discern who is a bee, who is a fox, and who is a human. Of course, some may argue that Strange Stories from a Chinese Studio is a collection of supernatural tales not to be believed, but that's their perspective, not mine. They've never entered these stories, so they deem them untrustworthy. However, once they enter and then leave, their perspective might change. For me, there is no clear distinction between mythology, fairy tales, supernatural stories, fiction, and reality, just as there is no clear distinction between the 36 8-diagram arrays. If you've been living within just one 8-diagram arrays and never entered any of the other 35 8-diagram arrays, of course, you will never know the existence of the 36 8-diagram arrays. Science fiction novels may seem like products of the author's imagination, but when we enter the space-time tunnel, we realize that they are not mere fantasies, but depictions of reality. It is said that in 1898, British writer Morgan Robertson wrote a novel titled Futility, which eerily predicted the sinking of the Titanic in 1912, 14 years later. Can we then dismiss the novel as merely the author's imagination? In 1865, at the age of 37, French science fiction writer Jules Verne published his science fiction masterpiece, From the Earth to the Moon, which described launching a manned projectile to the moon. The content, data, and details in the novel were almost identical to the data of the Apollo 11 moon landing spacecraft in 1969, 100 years later. Can we say Verne was just imagining things? Some may criticize Xuefeng's depictions of the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent as mere fantasy, but we cannot fault the critics for their lack of understanding of Tao's transcendence of time and space and the mysteries of thinking. However, believers are blessed. Grasping the concept of Tao's transcendence over time and space is truly extraordinary and incredibly marvelous. If one achieves enlightenment, they can freely roam the universe, instantly entering any life space to play. Moreover, one's thinking can expand limitlessly, and consciousness can transform from human to celestial being in the shortest possible time. The key here is not to differentiate between inner and outer, not to have a concept of time, but to realize that you are within Tao. Since Tao possesses the characteristic of transcending time and space, you also have the innate ability to transcend time and space. You can effortlessly travel from the human world directly to the 1,000-year world, or the 10,000-year world, or the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. Xuefeng Xuefeng Preaching Tao, 5. Xuefeng, May 19, 2008. Translation edited by Jiejing. Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the driving force behind the movement and transformation of all things in the universe. It is the lifeblood of the universe, it is nature, and the synthesis of all laws. Tao possesses 8 characteristics: holographic order, eternal reliability, instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior, spirituality, justice, non-obstruction, and illusory yet actual existence. The 5th characteristic of Tao, spirituality. In terms of the eternal reliability of Tao, it represents the synthesis of all laws. It operates meticulously, impartially, and strictly according to procedures. It cannot be deceived. If you input apples, you won't get oranges in return. Input peace, and you won't get turmoil. Input heaven, and you won't get hell. It acts like a mirror, reflecting the true essence of things. Therefore, when we encounter setbacks, troubles, or disasters in reality, we should know that they are entirely caused by ourselves, brought about by the information we input. This is not a dereliction or error of Tao. When we see someone crying in the mirror, it's ourselves crying. The mirror accurately reflects the actual situation in front of it. It's unreasonable to blame the mirror when we cry. If we wish to see the person in the mirror smile, we ourselves must smile. If we don't smile, the reflection in the mirror will never smile. Similarly, if we want Tao to bring peace, smoothness, auspiciousness to our lives, and to have a happy, joyous, free, and blessed life, we must put ourselves in such a state. If our consciousness is in chaos and disorder, then everything we perceive will also appear chaotic and disordered. If we lack direction and goals, Tao will not show us direction and goals. If our hearts are filled with jealousy and hatred, then everything we see and hear will provoke jealousy and hatred in us. If we constantly blame others and have a great deal of anger, the arrangements made by Tao will only provoke us to become angry and resentful. If our inner world is not peaceful, the outer world will not be peaceful either. If there is no heaven in our consciousness, there will be no heaven in the universe. If our hearts do not envision and yearn for the scenes of the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world, we will never find or reach these worlds and continent. What we long for, what we pray for, is what we attract to ourselves. What we think and do is reflected in reality. Western spiritual masters say, reality is the projection of our own consciousness, and indeed it is so.
我们常常埋怨老天不公，说老天爷看着人间这么多苦难灾难不管，而情况不是这样的。实际情况是我们自己愿意制造苦难和灾难，是我们自己不愿意脱离苦难和灾难。
上天派老子来，我们听从老子的开示了吗？上天派佛陀释迦牟尼来，我们听从佛陀的教诲了吗？上天派耶稣来，我们听从耶稣的指导了吗？上天派雪峰来，我们听从雪峰的导游了吗？我们还埋怨什么？ We often complain that heaven is unfair, saying that the heavens watch over the world with so much suffering and disaster and do nothing. But the situation is not like that. In reality, it is we who are willing to create suffering and disaster, and it is we who are unwilling to break free from them. When heaven sent Laozi, did we heed his teachings? When heaven sent Buddha, did we follow his guidance? When heaven sent Jesus, did we listen to his instructions? When heaven sent Xuefeng, did we follow his guidance? What else do we have to complain about? Although Tao operates meticulously and impartially, it is sentient and trustworthy, and it has spirituality. When we rejoice, Tao rejoices. When we suffer, Tao suffers. When we are angry, Tao is angry. When we ask for something, Tao will provide it. It's worth collecting evidence of this. When a person's life is in extreme danger, if they are conscious and earnestly seek the aid of the greatest creator at that critical moment, the situation can immediately shift from danger to safety, or the risk and damage can be minimized. There are many examples of this throughout history, which proves what? It proves that Tao has spirituality. Without spirituality, there would be no resonance, and without resonance, the turning of danger into safety would be difficult to achieve. Jesus often taught us that as long as you keep knocking, the door of the kingdom of the greatest creator will open for you. As long as we have faith, we can instantly transplant the large tree beside us to another place. The spirituality of Tao also manifests in the form of continuous inspiration it provides us, which I refer to as revelations. The over 100 articles I have written, titled Revelations, aim to help everyone find and receive divine inspirations from the myriad phenomena of nature. Life Genuine has always emphasized the need for everyone to awaken their spiritual perception. Once awakened, it's akin to a blind person regaining sight. You will perceive revelations everywhere, comprehend the wordless books, grasp the operational rules and ways of Tao, and ultimately attain Tao. You will be able to fly freely in the vast sky and leap freely in the boundless sea. Wherever you wish to go, you will go. Tao is constantly caring for us, assisting us, watching over us, educating us, and guiding us. Every few hundred years, it sends certain individuals to guide us. This is the spirituality of Tao. Tao responds to our inner prayers and desires at any moment, acting like a mirror that reflects our current reality, demonstrating the spirituality of Tao. If we consume something that upsets our stomach, Tao will cause us to experience the associated pain or discomfort, serving as a warning to us. Xuefeng Preaching Tao 6. Xuefeng. June 3, 2008. Translation edited by Jiejing. Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the driving force behind the movement and transformation of all things in the universe. It is the lifeblood of the universe, it is nature, and the synthesis of all laws. Tao possesses 8 characteristics: holographic order, eternal reliability, instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior, spirituality, justice, non-obstruction, and illusory yet actual existence. The sixth characteristic of the Tao, justice. If we look at things from a moment-to-moment perspective, it's almost impossible to discern the justice of Tao. Where does the justice of Tao manifest when a kind person encounters a car accident? Where does the justice of Tao manifest when a place experiences an earthquake, causing mass casualties and injuries? Where does the justice of Tao manifest when some opportunists exploit and oppress good people, living in wealth and comfort, while hardworking, kind, and sincere individuals struggle with hardship and despair? To see the justice of Tao, one must look at it from a macro perspective, from a holistic viewpoint, from the perspective of causality, from the long river of history, from the interplay of debts, from the future consequences, and from the principles of misfortune that upon which happiness depends. Happiness, that underneath which misfortune lurks. And if you want to contract something, you must first expand it. If you want to weaken something, you must first strengthen it. If you want to abolish something, you must first promote it. If you want to seize something, you must first give to it. When someone suffers from a headache, there is always a reason behind it. There is absolutely no headache without a cause. The occurrence of any phenomenon or event always has its reasons. There are no occurrences without reasons. All illnesses, pains, and disasters have their origins. When we trace back to their roots, we may find that some originate not long ago, while others have origins from a very long time ago. We tend to forget events from a long time ago because we cannot find their roots. Due to this, we often misunderstand the justice of Tao and mistakenly conclude that life is unpredictable and that the occurrence of all phenomena and events is merely coincidental. In fact, the justice of Tao manifests not only on a macro and global scale but also on a micro and local level, from quarrels between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law to palace intrigues, from slipping and falling outside to facing difficulties in tasks, from joys and sorrows, separations and reunions, to changes in weather and the waxing and waning of the moon, from personal fights to world wars. The justice of Tao is evident everywhere. The reason we often fail to perceive the justice of Tao is because we have not identified the root causes that lead to or trigger events. In hell, there isn't a single unjustly condemned spirit. Between the realms of yin and yang, there isn't a single unjustly condemned ghost. In the human world, there isn't a single person who is unjustly accused. As one sows, so shall one reap. Divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through. The two levels are in symmetry, and yin and yang are in balance. Everything is a result of our own actions. There's no point in blaming heaven, earth, society, or others. Let's explore the justice of Tao through a few examples. The inevitability of death for everyone is a significant aspect of the justice of Tao. The poor die, the wealthy die, the great die, the insignificant die, the powerful die, the powerless die, the beautiful die, the ugly die. How fair it is. If some people didn't die, would there be any way out for us? Has the sun not shone upon everyone? Regardless of who you are, the sun shines upon you. Is this not fair? The air circulates throughout the world, allowing every living being to breathe freely without charge. Is this not fair? Regardless of height, weight, wealth, or poverty, regardless of race, every person is given a pair of bright eyes. Is this not fair? Love attracts love, bringing joy to the heart. Everyone experiences this. How fair Tao is. Establishing heaven to reward those who revere the greatest creator, life, and nature, and follow the path of the greatest creator, and setting up hell to punish those who disregard the greatest creator, are arrogant and reckless, harm living beings, pollute rivers, lakes, seas, skies, and the earth, and speak nonsense about mysterious and spooky things. How just Tao is. The more you have, the more troubled you are. The less you have, the less troubled you are. How fair the program designed by Tao, allowing each person to sleep in only one bed at night, limiting each person to eating only a few bowls of rice at most, limiting each person's physical and mental capabilities, subjecting each person to the same risks when traveling by car or plane, granting each person free will, and allowing each person to freely choose their future lifestyle and path. How fair Tao is. If someone wears a diamond necklace, you say you also want to wear a diamond necklace, otherwise it's unfair. If someone is 6 feet tall, you say you also want to be 6 feet tall, otherwise it's unfair. If someone lives in a mansion, you say you also want to live in a mansion, otherwise it's unfair. If Hu Jintao becomes the president, you say you also want to be the president, otherwise it's unfair. Alright, if that's the case, when someone suffers, you should also suffer. When someone breaks their leg, you should also break your leg. When someone is burned to death, you should also burn yourself to death. When someone contracts AIDS, you should also inject yourself with the AIDS virus. Is this justice? Tao is just, there is no doubt about it. The sum of positive and negative energy in the universe is zero, meaning the universe's accounts are balanced. Ultimately, the accounts of every individual will also inevitably balance. Understanding this, we will be calm in our hearts, peaceful in our minds, clear-sighted, and more willing to give and less eager to take. The more we give, the less we seek, and the greater the ultimate reward will be. Don't limit your perspective to the gains and losses of yesterday and today. Look towards tomorrow and the day after. Don't confine your perspective to past lives and the present life. Look towards future lives and lives to come. In this way, no matter how tumultuous the waves of life may be, we can steer our life's ship steadily and safely towards the ideal harbor we dream of. Xuefeng Preaching Tao 7. Xuefeng, July 7, 2008. Translation edited by Jiejing. Tao is the consciousness of the greatest creator, the driving force behind the movement and transformation of all things in the universe. It is the lifeblood of the universe, it is nature, and the synthesis of all laws. Tao possesses 8 characteristics: holographic order, eternal reliability, instantaneous sensitivity and adaptability, transcendence over time and space with no interior or exterior, spirituality, justice, non-obstruction, and illusory yet actual existence. The 7th characteristic of the Tao, non-obstruction. Obstruction refers to blockage, being hindered, and difficult circulation, unable to transcend and stagnating. Non-obstruction refers to unimpeded passage, without hindrance, penetrating through everything. Regardless of how fast the movement of any substance is, it still has a speed. It takes time to travel from one point to another, even for the fastest light, which travels at 300,000 kilometers per second. It takes about 8 minutes for light to travel from the sun to the earth. However, the speed of Tao is zero. It takes 0 time to travel from one point to another, typically referred to as an instant. Any movement of matter, even wind, sound, or light, has limitations. When encountering specific obstacles, they either slow down or are completely blocked and stagnate. However, Tao is not like this. It can penetrate through any obstacle and instantly convey information to all spatial and temporal domains. This is the non-obstruction of Tao. For instance, if someone were to sit in a room sealed with a 10-meter thick iron plate, completely isolated from the outside world, they would still be able to sense external spiritual fluctuations, waves of consciousness, in an instant. The outside world would also be able to sense their changes in consciousness. They would still be able to see scenes from higher-level life spaces, such as the 1,000-year world, and lower-level life spaces, such as the plant world. In other words, even if they died in the isolated space, their soul would still be able to reach the corresponding space. A 10-meter thick iron plate cannot block the movement of consciousness. For a person or an object travels from China to the United States, whether by boat across the ocean or by plane through the clouds, they must rely on carrier media such as ships or airplanes. Otherwise, it would be difficult to cross the ocean or sky. Similarly, sending faxes or emails requires the use of carrier media such as electronic devices to transmit the information. Otherwise, the information cannot reach its destination. This is because during the process of material transmission, there are often blockages. However, Tao is not like this. Its operation is unobstructed. It penetrates through all time and space in an instant. For example, if one of our relatives lives tens of thousands of light years away on a distant planet or in the depths of the ocean, if something significant happens to us, that relative will sense it instantly. This is due to the non-obstruction of Tao. No substance or space